Hello and welcome, fellow Mythrunians, to another weekly live stream. This week's a little earlier, and as will be for the next couple weeks while my kid's getting ready for a play. Tonight we'll be working on some scripting stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in after we thank the patrons, because they're what keep the lights on, keep us all here. Thanks for all the support. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, because I'm already in the middle of something and I want to get back to it. If you drop in, say hi. All right. So what I was playing with is, I'm trying to get live script reloading working. Okay. All right. So we're getting closer. No secure message. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Okay, but in principle, it's working. So let's see if I can change it to do something else. Let's see. Log info, testing, 1, 2, 3. Did it reload it? It looks like it reloaded the on play. Let's try rerunning the command. And it didn't do anything except for log on the server. So yes, live reloading is working, which could come in handy later as we're dealing with scripting stuff. So, and we're fortuitously here where we can talk about the things I did this past week real quick as a recap. So first of all, you can see I've got water in the caves. I just did the basic support now. Old Mythruna was smart enough to know that, completely dry caves shouldn't have water in them, so if it's completely underground. This one just happens to be, it sticks out above below sea level, and so it fills with water. Do you think I should try with JMonkey as a new dev? Depends on what kind of new dev you mean. If you're a Java developer already, JMonkey Engine might be a fine choice. If you're still new to any kind of coding at all, there might be easier ways to get started. Even different languages might be some simple Python game or something just to get your feet wet. There's some JavaScript tutorials as well, just to get an idea of what it's like to write code. But if you've written code before and you are a Java developer, JMonkey Engine is a fine choice to get started. So where was I? Oh yes. So, right now, if the cave is exposed to sky, basically, then anything below sea level fills with water, and it'll continue on into the caves. What was I gonna say? But the thing is, like, if there were completely dry sections of the cave that went down below sea level, that didn't connect to this, they would also be filled with water right now. It's not smart about making sure that the connecting caves connect appropriately. Old Mythruna did that, and I have the code. I don't know if I'm going to get that done for this next release, because I'm really trying to get another release out here soon. But you can see it even kind of goes back into the distance there. Now, of course, water doesn't have a filter on it, so when you're underwater, it just looks like you're underwater. Like, you can even put lights down here. One thing that will be different between old Mythruna and new Mythruna is that lights won't create like an air block like they did, and these kind of lights anyway won't create an air block because fluid is handled as a separate layer, so to speak. So blocks and fluid can exist in the same place at the same time, which is not useful for these big blocks, but is super useful for these little partial blocks that could actually exist in water. Okay, so that was that. I get, a bunch of cave stuff done. This is the canyons stuff, which is kind of cool. What else? Let's fly up here. I think I had some test objects that I was messing with. Yeah. So the other thing I got working was, so that, let's step back. So that's actually a physical table. We can walk into it. Oops, I'm still in the block tool. Let me flip back to the wrong thing. Flip back to the object tool. All right, so so now we can make these static, and it'll still be there where we, kind of where we left it. The bug before was that if you happen to remove an object, it would still hang around. 3D artist. Unity is, in a sense, is a competitor to JMonkey Engine, but still, if you're just starting to have no coding experience, Unity might be a good place to start just to get your feet wet with game development. If you've never done it before, there's a whole bunch of sort of logical mindsets that you have to get into. Anyway, if we delete this object, we can see now we can walk through it. You saw I demonstrated last time that we would get stuck there. The other thing that works is if you have one of these objects already that's static and you can move it around. That was something you couldn't do before. Its collision shape would get left behind. Whereas now we can come up here and stand on it even when it's up in the air. Hey, I wonder if we can drag it while we're on it. Yeah, we can. In the original Mythruna, you could make these sort of wooden boats and drag the boat around while you were inside of it, which was kind of fun. So you could make these flying boats, and we'd shoot all over the world that way. Anyway, if you've got this up in the air, the other thing you can do now, which you couldn't do before, is you can then make it physical, and it'll fall and do its own physics thing then. One thing that I still need to fix is if you have the object flipped over like that and then you make it static, it'll stay there, and the collision shape is right, but as soon as you start to drag it, it flips it right side up. And that's because it's constantly kind of resetting it, because if you roll the middle mouse wheel, you can actually rotate the object around. And so I have to figure out, it's not a programming problem, it's a control interface problem to decide. And maybe it'll be clearer when you can, because the other thing is you cannot, when they're physical like this, you can't pick them up and drag them, they just stay where they are. Because I haven't quite worked out how I want that to work yet. If I want it to be, janky and hard to control like in Skyrim, or, stiffer, meaning that wherever you grab it, you're kind of holding on tight, or some combination of the two. Anyway, let me roll time back. So a bunch of physics objects have been fixed like that. So we've got all that working. What I want to do tonight is, so this is still a regular illusion. It's not solid, but we can make it solid by clicking on it. Say make solid, and now we can stand on it. And this was important because I wanted to be able to chop down trees, and I don't remember how this works, but I think if we click on this like this, or maybe I killed that. Maybe it's right click. Oop, that created an error. So I had some scripting attached to the axe to sort of extract this tree into an object, because eventually what's going to happen is you chop the tree down and it'll fall over like a physical object and then turn static after that. But I must have screwed up the scripting on the axe when I was testing it with the swinging motion. Anyway, so that's where we are with that. But what I wanted to fix is it's a big problem. Well, two things. If we pull up the previous thing, so these are we had the cave fog bug. Then the physics agent revolver property bug, and it turned out to be a bunch of issues related to that, which I fixed this week, and I'm glad I did it offline because it turned out to be something more complicated than just the listener thing like I thought. The whole physics engine had some problems with static objects. So one of the things I wanted to work on is moving the init scripts, inventory init scripts. Currently, all players start out with a certain set of objects, sort of test objects, and right now those are all hard coded in the. Let's see, where's the quickest way to get to where I want to go? Here, let's go here. Server game host. So there's like a bunch of code in here that creates the backpack and fills it in somewhere around here. There's a list of all the things. Yeah, here we go. Creates the sword, creates the axe, creates the book, and these are smart enough to not recreate them if you've already got them and so on. But this is all hard coded in the Java code, and I'd like to move it to scripts, because really this should be something that's both part of the game and easily moddable by a server mod if he wants to create his own script to add some other special items to everybody's inventory. And even I have to change this often, and it'd be nice if I didn't have to do it in the Java code. I could just do it in a script, and it also potentially has the ability to runtime reload at some point. So anyway, that's one thing I want to do. I want to move all this object creation into scripts. The other thing is we have the dungeon test wand, and we know if we click on a place on the ground, I'm not going to do that right now, but I will left click because there's a whole bunch of objects to delete, from old dungeons. That's the other thing, is this dungeon test wand, when you create a dungeon, it makes all those little campfire objects, all those little torch objects, and then later when I reset my world data, that stuff is still hanging around embedded in the ground. And so I had this, if you left click, it'll delete all those old objects, and if you right click, it'll make a new dungeon. Well, I can show you. If I right click, there it makes a new dungeon wherever you click. But the thing is, and so then it gives you a little overview of the map. And you know what, when I back the time up like this, I should just pause it so that the time stops. But I want to give players this ability both in single player and multiplayer potentially. But either way, it's hazardous and like unrealistic. If you just started clicking all around with this thing, it's going to create problems. The games are not really set up to have like 100 dungeons right here in the same spot all overlapping, and it's going to make weird issues, and you might do it by accident. So the idea would be to turn this in, since this is not really the way dungeons will normally be generated as part of the world. Right now this is just a test wand. And so I'd like to leave it in for players to play with until I get the real version working. But I also don't want to create problems for myself by having people accidentally click a bunch of places, or on the server, create a million dungeons. So what I want to do is make it so that when you click, it takes the wand away from you and puts it in one of the in the far room in the bottom level, so that you would have to solve the dungeon, at least go through the maze and find that last room to pick up the item in order to create a new dungeon. So I think it would be kind of a fun little game. So that's one of the things I wanted to script, and that's what I'm talking about in this document, the temporary dungeon game. But first, I think I want to be able to redo this wand without having to change Java code. So we'll move the inventory init scripts. I mean, they don't connect very well because the walls of the rooms will wipe out anything that's already there. It is possible that there's parts of the dungeon, like the hallways and the turns, that don't do anything if there's rock already there. In fact, being that we might have intersected some caves, sometimes they might intersect, but in general, yes, in the real generation, maybe they will intersect. In fact, I don't know if I can 100% prevent it, but if I was to create another dungeon right here, I accidentally did it. It creates all kinds of extra objects, and now these two things are I probably just, see, I just turned this into a dead end. You can't actually get through now, because I've there's the other entrance over there that now has blocked off parts of this entrance and so on. So it's just, I don't want users reporting bugs to me like, my dungeon doesn't work, it's all blocked off, and have it turn out that they've got like 4 or 5 of them that they accidentally clicked up here. Plus it's, again, it's a little game to have to solve the maze and learn how to do that. And maybe I'll take these maps away and only put the ones up here, so that you actually have to solve it, or make that optional or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's what we want to do, and I've spent now 15 minutes not actually being productive. So First, let's look at moving inventory creation into scripts. And to properly test that, I might have to actually make a new character. Yeah. And because I did that double dungeon thing, I'm going to go ahead and remove my world. See, that's it. World A123, remove the world DB, remove the tile DB. Okay, so next time we load, we'll have to regenerate. Though I currently think yeah, whatever. All right. Speaking of, while I'm thinking of that, let's go ahead and set the far terrain level to 0 at least. Because that'll save our load times as we reload, because we're going to end up reloading a bunch of times to get this right. Alright, so where's the best place to add? Alright, let's see. We've got some built-in mods. I think the objects mod, standard objects.json, standard tools.groovy seems like a fine place. Yeah, in fact, I've already, some previous night we did this, I already stubbed these in. When a player entity is created, we want to add some standard kit. Yep, this is the one. Whoops. Sorry, Ron. So we've got 3 chatters. Pretty cool. All right. I don't know if this time is better for everyone, but it'll be for sure the time I do this next few weeks. And then I, till the middle of July at least, and then I might have to move it back to 7:30. But if everyone's good with the earlier time, I'll keep doing the earlier time. And I'll try to avoid going back to the 9 o'clock time. Maybe I could at least do it at 8 or something. But anyway, right now I have a big block of time between 5 and 8:30 or so, or 5:30 and 8:30, so this is an ideal time to make it. Okay, so here's where we would want to do what we're doing here, and I think I like these. I think I like the structure of this. We will assume that the backpack is already created. Maybe we want to create the backpack too. Wow, the backpack's a container. Let's put that off for another night. You guys might not know this, but everything in the game except for the creatures right now is a block object that was technically made the same way that any user could make an object. Using the blockhead tool, which is essentially a application version of the build tool we already have in here. So if you look at Fade's backpack, yes, see, we gotta wait a little bit because I deleted my world. This is good to get out of the way. So you could extend from different presets. I'm not sure I understand the question, but let's talk about what I mean once we get into the thing. Okay, so we've got everything's dark, so let's all right, come on, you can do it. Yeah, I figured out recently that when we load the game, the attachments for a second, for like 1 frame, hold on. And I'll explain one of the reasons this goes so slow. Here, hold on a second. Okay, so let me bump the time up and then pause. So when we see Fade here, and she's got something in her hand. So if you need a different starting equipment, you could have different code it picks from. Yeah. So like these kinds of things here are like this is like a script file that, this groovy file is a script file. Server mods could add their own custom stuff. So in addition to having the standard stuff here, they could create their own that also had this kind of event, and then they could put their own code here to add their own stuff. So server mods could do that. Eventually, probably players are going to pick some stuff during character creation, but there's always going to be some standard tools that we give the player, and some that they'll never be able to drop. For example, the object tool, that's also going to be what stores a lot of their resources for them as they go around the world and delete things. And so they can never drop their object wand, because that's sort of their quote-unquote crystals that are storing their resources that they collect. Anyway, without getting too far off topic, what I wanted to talk about was, here we got backpack 2.blocks. That is what is on Fade's back here. It is a block object, and so I created that sort of in the same kind of blueprint editor that you could create any other object. It's just the command line version. But if I had anyway, so basically it's just a block like this, only instead of making it out of wood, I made it out of leather, and built it up out of the little teeny blocks. So discard chance. So we don't get a map. And so it's a block object because eventually I want players to be able to make their own custom backpacks and stuff like that. But that means that turning it into an object, a container, is a little trickier, because if you look at that backpack object, and I can't, of course, point at it while the that's too bad. Yeah, I kind of heard that was true. Anyway, you can see this object that this is the same backpack that she's wearing. It just doesn't have the lid on it, but it's got the little latchet, the little strap things there. But it's basically the same backpack without the lid and without the straps on it. And you can see down in it's 3D, like underneath the grid there. And what happens when I create a what happens is I can turn this object into a container like this, and it calculates the size and decides how big to make this 2D grid by a custom algorithm I use to convert 3D space to 2D space, so that these objects can fit in and still kind of reasonably give you maybe how many objects you could have fit in that space, and so on and so forth. But that means there's more setup here for the backpack than there would be for your random standard item. And that's why I won't be moving the backpack. So that was like a 10-minute description on why I won't be moving the backpack. But the point being that all of these objects are created with the blocks like any other thing. And so you could have made these in your blueprint editor, and eventually that will be true. There'll be something other. There'll be like a workbench for assembling items, because some of these are made out of multiple parts potentially. I think the backpack is. The treasure chests definitely are that kind of thing, where you could add hinges and make objects that have connections and stuff. Anyway, suffice to say, we want to move some code. Thanks, Romcram. Yeah, so there's still like a workbench that I need to make that allow you to assemble parts, and then it will decide how expensive those are to build and what their properties are. You make swords and tell them where the handles are. Yeah, and the next thing will be, hi Frammy, yes, so far I'm having a nice day. The next thing will be custom clothes, because the clothes that Fade is wearing, that we just saw her wearing, are also custom made with cloth swatches, using a different tool. Can I show that tool? What's it called? I think you guys have seen this one before. What is it? Great Run Rigger, yeah. Again, I don't want to go too far down this part, but even the clothes will be custom at some point. Right now, this is kind of like primitive and janky just to prove the idea. But we should be able to load the female model. Open rig. Is it just Mythruna girl? Yeah, so there's Mythruna girl, and she's in her underwear. But you can come over here to clothing, pick a swatch, and pick like a dark blue weave, and just start like adding clothes to her, and so you can cover up her bra and stuff. Anyway, and you can give him edges and things. So if we wanted to give, wanted to give a seam on the north edge, you can't really see it here, but it's got kind of a lip to it. Actually, if I come down here, you can see. So this would be like 2 layers of fabric, and you can kind of see the edge. Anyway, you can build whole clothes for her. Yeah, so you guys have seen this before. I think you can. Yes, really abandoned claim. Yeah, so female adventure outfit. I think, yeah. So this is the bizarrely colored because I don't think it maps properly to these current fabric sets. But this is what Mythruna Girl is wearing, except for these are the wrong colors because I added new fabric types since I did this. And it's a little janky. Anyway, eventually there'll be the ability to, on some, dressmaker's dummy kind of thing, you make your own shirts and pants and things, and customize that how you're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna basically the rigger. I'll end up creating a bunch of different shirts and pants and stuff like that, and let them be different colors, and then just randomly give those to NPCs based on the type of NPC. You don't want to give like fisherman outfit to the girl who runs the tavern or whatever. It would look weird, but that's really where it comes down to, is that to be able to give all my NPCs sort of different clothing. Anyway, back to where we were going. We want to move all these guys into a script. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove them from here so that we don't accidentally create them. And so we want to do it here. And I'm just going to leave this commented out because we'll get one working first and then we'll work on the others. So what we want to be able to do is find the backpack first of all. And I think I already made scripting things. Build wand is another one. Yeah, the build wand is the one that all players will get. Object wand, build wand. The game in terms of download size. If you go to the link up here, this upper left, and put that password in, you get to, oh man, why the browser not loading? I think my computer has too much going on right now. So if you go there, you get this screen where you can also go and sign up for Discord. But it should tell you right now the game's download size is 88 megabytes. Not big. It makes a ton of data on your system once you run it, because it's generating the world and stuff. And I expect this number will certainly go up because it's missing a bunch of textures and things, but I don't know how big the final version will be yet. But man, that yeah. Anyway, okay, so back to this. Because I'm gonna need to do the build one too. What? Which what? Okay, so we created the backpack. Created the build wand. But create build wand must find the backpack. So if we look, yeah, where do we find the backpack? No, I guess we add it to the backpack later. Oh, yeah. I mean, eventually it will be, but it's not going to be like a huge. It generates a lot of its data, so there's not much to it as compared to a big game, like a big modern AAA game. They've got lots of assets built in, and Mythruna generates a lot of its assets, so it gets away without that. I keep getting distracted from what I'm trying to do. Okay, so we created the backpack. So I still haven't found the backpack yet. So what I want to do is look for... I want to see what the object API, base object API... So I give the ability to find... Problem is I don't remember all of the things that I created already for scripters. So you can find entities. Yeah, that's okay. It's the conversations that make this interesting. Okay. So yeah, we want to find an entity. But we want to find one on the player. So I think we probably want a custom... And what do we want that to look like? We want to say... what did I call these? Find entity, find object. We'll make it, these will always be objects, and we'll want to find an object on the player. And what is the player? Gosh, guys. Okay, so it's fortuitous that I have created that runtime scripting stuff. Are you guys still seeing the thing? Because YouTube's telling me there's an error. Let me check this to see. Yeah, it seems to still be... Yeah, still running and still... You guys still seem to be seeing... Yeah, okay. Yep. So, come on. My whole system is running slow. There's something... Firefox is unhappy. Alright. But yeah, the whole system... Okay. But like even this is like loading tremendously slow. It's usually Firefox. Like if I go in here, I frequently go through here and find whatever. Yeah, so there's like this 4 gig Firefox and I'll just kill it. So hopefully that doesn't kill the... Nope, didn't kill the live stream. Oh, it killed that Mythruna page. Yeah, so WordPress, big memory killer. Okay. So if we play, we'll come in here and... So, come on. The unfortunate thing... Oh yeah, so I cleared the world out. What... Am I holding the dungeon one? Yeah, so let's go ahead and clean those up. Clean up all those dead objects. Should get rid of those, okay. And then I will select a safer tool to hold. Okay, so what we want to do is use this, where did I put it? This one, yeah. So we use this to learn some things about event, though we have to be careful, because if I put something in here that doesn't compile, sometimes it'll kill the... Alright, so... Oh, yeah, that's right. Actually, this is going to... We already got the player joining event, if I had just looked at it. We can go like this. Here it is. Oh, maybe not. I thought it would show... Oh, because I didn't run... Yeah, okay. Alright, so that won't work. So what did I do? I had put it here, save that, it'll reload. Okay, so we can come back in here and we can say... so that printed the event down there. If you guys can see it. Let's look over here. So it printed this event, player event. I just wanted to remember what was on there. Player is on there. Because even if I had a fancy IDE, in this case it wouldn't help me because there's just too much indirection. So so the point is, over here in our object script, where we want to find the backpack, we want to find the backpack on the current player, and so that would be event dot... Whoa, hello. Alright, so my editor is now unhappy. Yeah, everything's unhappy. Hopefully you guys are still on, because my system's trying to take a dump here. Oh yeah, it's running 58 degrees. That's 58 degrees Celsius, by the way. Yeah, so we've got people still on. That seems to be chugging. At any rate, event.player is what we want. We want to find the object event.player on event.player, and what did we call it? It's just called backpack. I'm the bag that's loaded up. Yeah, so this is what we want. We want to do find. We want to have this find item, and maybe that's what I want to call it. Find item. Let's copy this. And the neat thing is we can put it here for now, and then we can move it someplace better later. Yeah, so the syntax will be a little different. Find item. Is that what I call it over here? Find entities. Yeah, so these are definitely items. And we want to have the target. Target. And name. And that's what we want to find. And then to do that, anyway, hopefully you guys are still here with me. What does the live stream say? Yep, still looks like you're with me. In fact, YouTube's not as unhappy as it was. Alright, so we filter. We want to find everything that's contained in target. Actually, root is a better name here. And then I think find entities is what we got. Find entities, yep, same as the thing. So find entities, filter, and then contained in each. Okay. Actually, we still want to do a for loop. Because we want to be able to leave early if we find the thing. We'll find the first... Basically, we're going to find the first thing in root that has the name that we're looking for and return that. Probably we want to filter by object type too, but I'll add that later. So, and in here, I ought to be, say, item name. If n equals name, return item. Return null. So the neat thing is the runtime capability, all this stuff where I have the entity and I'm checking to see if it has a name, and then I'm checking to see if it has an object name. We don't have to do that in scriptland because scriptland has some automatic code that does that if you just try to get the item name. It does all that stuff for you. So from here we ought to be able to find item, player. Let me make sure that that's really what's going on here. Find item, create backpack, avatar entity. Yep. Okay. So find the item player, backpack. And for now, we'll just say if we found it. Okay. Let's see if we can run. If you guys are still on the chat, please say something. It says there's still 4 concurrent viewers, so I'm going to assume you are. So minimize that again. Okay, cool. Okay. Just when everything ground to a crawl on my system, I was worried I'd lost everybody. Alright, so... Oh, what I was going to talk about before... Oh, there are... Oh, you can hear that? There are definitely frogs out there. It rained really hard. And... yeah. We have a swimming pool that I can't open because it's got leaks and stuff. But... yeah, the frogs love it. And so whenever it rains, we get this chorus of really loud frogs. I'm surprised you can hear that. That's awesome. Okay, so let's pause the... Uh-oh. Okay. There. Okay, so this is... Pause. Okay. So what we want to do is look for standard tools. Grep. No, there's definitely frogs in the background. And frogs are one thing we don't have the sounds for in Mythruna already. Otherwise, you could have heard it from there. Oh yeah, you know what? I have to create a new... Can I... Is the game working well enough? Yeah, the frogs are quite loud. We get used to it after a while. But then, like, my wife's mother will come and visit us and has trouble sleeping at night because the frogs are... That's awesome. Yeah, are you watching it on like a TV or something, Ron? Okay, let's create a character. That's what we want to do. New character. Well, everybody's a female, so we might as well make her a female. Okay, so if we do this... Did the... New play. Okay, that's disappointing. Maybe they haven't created it yet. So what I was going to talk about before is, you know, that backpack is an attachment on Fade. And, you know, the things that she's holding, that's an attachment on Fade. Yeah, we're a new player, so we started out at spawn. No spawn tower right now because I have that disabled. But so these, you know, the backpack that's on her back, that's an attachment. But for one frame, that backpack comes out as an object that's at 0, or whatever the position is on her back, because it doesn't know that it's parented to her quite yet. And because of that, the game will build out all the world around the 0 coordinate on the map. And so one of the reasons that first time we load sometimes is really long is because, you know, it's basically loading in the 0, you know, sedactile and all that other stuff and generating caves for that. Even if we were like way far off in the world, if that part of the world hadn't been generated yet. Normally it would be because our spawn position is within that sedactile, but it's weird because where I was starting out with all those caves, we were far away from, so we ended up generating twice as much data. Let's see. Yeah, all that logging is, it's generating all of this world data, and I have some stack traces because I was trying to figure out who was generating, yeah, all these Kilroy was here stack traces. I was trying to figure out who was generating data at world coordinate 0 when I was way off somewhere else in the world. But normally this is where for this particular world, this is where the spawn would be. So we're up in like the snow-capped mountains at the moment. And we can see out across the plains because there's some, you know, grasslands over here. It's kind of cool. But anyway, while that's doing its thing, yeah, it never did log that on player created. I'm wondering if it just doesn't log it as itself, like found. So I should have seen a player was created. Okay. I did. Okay, but that comes in as standard objects. Oh. Huh. That's not right. Found null. Okay, so that is standard objects for some reason. Oh, maybe because that's what's running the... Yeah. It's disconcerting that, first of all, I think that, you know, see, we're already loaded and basically logging is just way behind. Look at that. And that, I mean, you just want to go explore. I spend way too much time running around in this game. Alright, so okay, so this is what I call Kilroy debugging, and that is making sure that the script you're running is even running, right? Because this is like, we don't even see the check. So let's also log in here, find item, root name. I just feel like this stuff's not running, and I'm gonna move this to just join, because even on joining we want to make sure that the player has everything they're supposed to have, not just on created, though that's the most logical place to do it. And so we'll try again. The fact that it's running, it's logging at a different log is concerning. I'm going to try to at least get one object created on the new player. Basically, if I open her inventory, she shouldn't have anything except for the build wand. Yeah, and in development mode, I leave a lot of logging on that I go and I turn off when I do releases. Yes, if I open this, yes, she's only got the build wand. That is as I expected. And so we need to look up. Now we're going to see lots of Kilroys because I've got plenty of Kilroys left behind. But let's also grep script, because I think that's, yeah, Kilroy was here, script. Okay, so we're definitely running, but that's coming out as standard objects, and we are standard tools. Oh, I wonder if it's named after the mod. Yeah, because there is no standard objects. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Okay, so we should be able to grep for standard objects. Actually, I already have that grep. Okay, so we loaded it. Kilroy was here. Players joining. We find item backpack. Checking entity name backpack found backpack. Okay, backpack. All right, so that's working. So that much is working. So now we know we have the backpack. And we can create an item on the backpack. So let's try to create the sword. And yeah. Okay, so we're making progress. Yeah, we can go ahead and close this down now. You guys missed the sunset. In fact, I wish I had removed that. In fact, we can go real quickly. Now that I know what caused it, I know that there's a better way to find it. And so I can get rid of some of these. I think there's also some on this side. A stack is what I'm looking for. Okay. And what about this? Yeah. So okay. So then if we come back over here, all right. So back to scripting. Where were we? So here we are, standard tools. All right, so we want to create, make sure there has some standard items. Def item, create item on the backpack. Oh wait. We're creating them on the player and then putting them in the backpack. Oh, it's the creator. Yeah. So we create the item owned by the player, I think. target? Target was, yeah, same place we created the backpack, so yeah. All right. Okay, so we want to create that. And then create item. Probably I want to make an item builder, but for now, let's just copy this idea. Again, I'll move this over later to a centralized location. So create item. And what I mean by an item builder is like whenever you have like a whole bunch of fields that you're passing, arguments that you're passing to a method, and you come down here and you're like, wait, what was this and what was this and what was this? You just see a whole list of this crap. And with an item builder, you would have to give them names. So you'd say creator equals this, name equals this, and so on and so forth, rather than just having all these naked parameters. All right, so that's interesting. Find exactly one item. But that's what find item is already doing. Oh, wait. Yeah. Find exactly one item. Oh, I see. It's removing the ones that... Okay. Let's not do that. That'll be a separate... If we want to clear out ones we've already got. Result. Okay, sure. Result equals find item and creator name. Okay. If result is not equal to null, return results. For now. We'll work on upgrading it later. Otherwise, result equals... Well, we can, in the scripting land, we can create an entity all at once. So let's go ahead and build up our... oh, yeah. The hack to determine object volume. I think there is a way to load cells. Is it base APIs? Load cells. Shape info, though. Oh, it is. Haha. Did I give it a shape info? Oh, no. So we need a shape info. Dungeon Wand has what I want to look at. Okay, so what to create shape, scale. Okay. So we create the shape, we look for the cells for that shape so that we can get the size. Yeah, we do some funky stuff for the sword because I guess it doesn't come out the right size. Then we multiply by the scale. Okay, so that's all hacky hack. Fix me. Right. Proper object sizing. Coat. All right. Or build it into types. Because that's really what we want. We really want to define that with the object type. So normally we'd have set all these components, and in here we don't have to do that. Like, I think, again, if I look back at the dungeon wand, there's a create entity, yeah. So, and then we could just pass all that stuff. So create entity, and we pass the object name, the mass, because, yeah, again, that should be part of the object type. We've already got the shape info. Creator. Okay, return result. Alright, so that should... We should have an item. We want to create... See, let's do the sword first. So that's the one that's got the weird... Oh yeah, item scale. Let's copy item scale from over here. Where does it set? Yeah. No, that's for the backpack. What are we using for here? Scale, just scale. Okay. Oh yeah, but when we passed it in, duh. Where are we calling create item again? Sorry if this is getting boring, guys. Okay, so item scale right here. Yeah, so it's item scale's weird. Yeah, so it's a quarter of a block times a quarter of a block, right? So 1/16 of a block is a block, and then half of that again. It's, I don't know. Yes, that means one block is 1/32 of a meter, something like that. Log info created item. All right, let's see if that works. Let's see if I forgot something. All right, so will new character have a sword? And will it be in the proper place in her hand? Yeah, so probably next week we'll do the dungeon game thing. That should be interesting too. There's plenty to talk about and unpack there as well. As far as yeah, see, because I have the levels set real short. That's why the fog is so intense. Because I have, yeah. Nope, it did not. It did not. Oh, it might have... No, it did not create it. Oh, it did, actually. I'm missing a step. I'm missing a step. Right? Because I didn't actually put it in the container. Oops. And so this changes a little bit. We say item. Yeah, so target is the backpack. What was result? No, maybe I'm wrong. A result is the backpack. Contained in target. Target is the player. Because objects have a root, and all objects that are contained in something have a root and then what they're actually contained in. This makes the game a lot simpler, because you can have containers inside of containers inside of containers, but ultimately there's an entity walking around the world that is holding that. That is part of their total inventory, and so there's this double relationship between the root and the... Okay, anyway. So probably I want to log here. All right. Trying again. I think it's funny to watch the view count go up down here, but not the concurrent viewers. All right, come on. I just want to see this work, and then we can start wrapping up. Ooh. I made a boo. Extra parenthesis, probably, right? Yep. All right. So we actually ought to be able to say, just do this again. I thought for sure it would reload it. Perhaps not. Or I didn't really fix it, and no, I did. But continue last world should be what loads that script from the disk. Oh, but it's built into the, it's built into the game files. It's like compiled in. Okay. Entering world. All right, do we think the sword's in our inventory? Drum roll, please. No! Ow! Why is the sword not in the inventory? Come on. Create item sword. Something failed before it got there. Find item sword. It didn't find the sword. Drop. Okay, that was when I dragged it. So something failed before then? I mean, one of the issues with having so much of the stack traces go by, yeah, see, we did get an error. No such property ed for standard tools. Okay. That's my own dumb fault. And I really need to come up with a better solution for having to pass this entity data everywhere. Oh, that's great. Because this gets me all the time. And really, scripters shouldn't have to worry about that. They should have commands to use that don't require you to reference entity data everywhere. It should be automatic. It just means I have to go everywhere that takes it and make a sort of alternate version of that method for scripts only. Which you guys probably are not interested in the slightest. I imagine you're barely holding on at this point. Let's see, will she have a sword? You can afford, board, my diamond, sword. Okay. Nice thing is when we're in the snow, it's very bright. Okay, so will she have a sword? Drum roll, please. Yay! It shouldn't have been so hard, guys. It should not have been so hard. So yep, she's holding the sword. And she can whack stuff with it. Whack. Whack. Oops, it gets stuck. Whack. Bang. 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 Slice. Slice. I'm all weird now. No, it's Windows 7 with the... Everybody asks this. It's Windows 7 with the classic look and feel. Every time I install new Windows, I find the classic look and feel because I'm an old dog. I'm an old dog, and I don't like cartoon Windows. Windows 10, what's the 10 I think I use for work? I think it's okay. But Windows XP had, yeah. And even to some extent 7 had that big bubble cartoon Windows. I didn't like it. Anyway. So yes, I have a sword. And so now I need to do that with all the other... Wow, I didn't realize she had both outline and underline text. That's new. Oh no, it's actually a bug. Yeah, see, it's only... Yeah, something's wrong there. All the text is supposed to look like this all the time, but then when we're here, it's not. It's only... And normally, when this is far away, it's also hidden. You know, it's supposed to look more like that, but actually that's what it's supposed to look like, I guess. And then here it's messed up because you can't see the shadows underneath the... That's a little too extreme. So something's happened with the sorting order. Anyway, somewhere around here there should be some caves that we have not even looked at yet, because I have it set up so that there will be caves generated in every one of, at least one cave system generated in every one of these things. In fact, sometimes you can see them, these little dots where it dips down below the water, where sea level. So there's a cave over there. Now we got swords working. Let's go find one cave to mess around in. So there should be a cave under here, but let's flip over to the block tool. This is the minimum we need to kind of get around. There's a trick. Like when you're in third person mode, it doesn't clip the world, and so you can kind of come down here. Yeah, there's no caves nearby. So we better... We can use... Oops. Let's fall back down the hole. Where was that other one? Up here. Somewhere over this yonder way. Oh, there's one down here. I can see the telltale carving in the ground of the chasms over here. They cut wide paths sometimes. So you know there must be a cave system there. It's kind of a cool indicator. I don't know if that'll last in the final version, but kind of neat for now. Okay, so let's shoot on over here. Oh yeah, check it out. Nice. Oh yeah, so we get that weird kind of clipping that happens. Okay, so this is probably all part of one cave system. Yeah, check it out. Whee! Ooh, spoopy. Okay, so let's pick up magic light. We'll do a little cave exploration before we call it a night. Because I usually waste so much time doing this anyway. Now you guys are along for the ride. So you can see it. Let's make sure we... Oh, it was paused. I had already paused it. See, it just looks cool to see the sunlight coming in. Ooh, there's a secret cave down here. Oh wow, that's deep. I kept trying to find a place to put a light. Have you used Linux? Yeah, I use Linux. So the work computer has Windows installed because that's what corporate wants, but then we do our development on Linux and a VM, and then all of my machines downstairs are Linux. But to do game development, you kind of need Windows at least to have one. That's why I'm reluctant to buy Windows 10 for myself, because I'm not a big gamer on the PC anymore, and I have several Linux computers and these Windows 7 computers, which are slowly getting to the point where I can't get upgrades for anything anymore. Like I can't upgrade OBS. Yeah, see, that's not really... Is that really a hole? It is. Sometimes these are not. Whoa. Yeah, you never know. It's super deep. Or not. Anyway, yeah, so I have trouble paying for Windows at this point because I'm really a Linux user. Except for just these two computers that I do game development on. So anyway, we're down here in the bottom of the caves. We've got our sword in our inventory, and you guys have been along for the ride because you're gracious and generous individuals. And let's see what's up here. Looks like there's more caves up here. Ooh, hello. Watching from Arch Linux. Yeah, I use Linux Mint. I have it when my kids were young. We built like a quote unquote computer lab in the basement to teach them computers and stuff. And yeah, I mean, like, I think my youngest was maybe 8 years old at the time. Anyway, I bought them computer parts, and we all put together, 3 identical machines, so they knew how machines went together and what was involved in that. And we put Linux on them because I found maintaining Windows computers to be a full-time job almost. And the Linux computers have served them well. And of course, my oldest has gotten into, loading mods and Steam games and Proton, and probably knows more about that than I do at this point. So, yeah. So it all works out. Yeah, exactly. Got to make sure it works on Windows. In fact, I'm at a point right now where I can't 100% be sure that it's working on newer Windows. I can only be sure on Windows 7. So eventually I probably will have to break down and get a Windows 11 box. I'm hoping to wait till the next Windows, skip a couple generations maybe. Anyway, so here we are in the caves. Fade has her sword, her trusty sword. She can equip it and wave it around in front of her. And so then what happens next is, I'll basically create the rest of these items so that she has all the standard test items. And yeah, see items and materials. Yeah, so that'll be neat. Um, yeah, one of the things one of the other things I fixed. I didn't even show you guys. So it used to be, and I can actually show you the difference. Yeah. So it used to be the new Mythruna has these lanterns, right? The lantern is one of the kinds of standard lights you can build, and they're cool. But I couldn't get them to be emissive, and so they looked kind of lame before. But now you can see they actually like glow like they're actual lights. And what it looked like before is like that, which was kind of lame, because there was a sort of a, first of all, there was a bug in diffuse lighting when things don't have sunlight on them. And then I went ahead and added emissive textures and emissive colors. And so now I can do a whole lot with self-lit materials. And the other thing that allowed me to do is, let's turn off test mode. And so, yeah, so you got these cool, they look cool, it's glowing. Anyway, so what I really want to do is in these caves is have like glowing mushrooms and, glowing kind of lichen and stuff on the walls in certain places, like maybe in the deepest, dampest parts of these caves. Have occasional little, mushrooms growing of maybe, different colors. Like these little mini magic lights hardly give off any light at all. So let's find a place to plant one. So, maybe just a little dim, couple lights, they'll be self-illuminating, right? So those blocks would give off light. And so you could be down in these creepy caves and, find a couple of these. Maybe they'd be purple. And so they would look more like, oops, I screwed up. Yeah, so look somewhere between these two, right? So you could get these little, anyway, the fact that I have emissive colors now, like these, means that I can actually make those. They'd still accept regular lighting and stuff, and then they'd also glow, and then I could give the light block itself a light value, and it would. So anyway, that's the other thing that's kind of cool. The other thing I fixed was there's reflective, the blocks that have reflection, like the marble, they used to pick up this really gross, they'd pick up the sunlight reflection even when you were down in the dark, and it was really messed up. And now they pick up a color highlight from the local light. You can't see it right here because we can't really get in the, why can't I? There we go. Oh yeah, there you go. So it's based on the color of the light that's around. So if I got rid of these, I got rid of this, and where are we getting the rest of our light? Coming from here. Yeah, so now if we go over here, the lighting that so see, it's got that warm lantern color reflection. It's not, reflected from the light position like it should be, but I mean, you can only do so much with baked lighting. But the point is it matches the color. And so if we came down here where, it's OpenGL, LWJGL, in fact. And so if we put one of these guys here, I should be able to get the, so see, you get this purple lighting as the reflection. It just changes the mood so much. Because it used to be these really bright white spots no matter where you went. Right now the only way to get rid of those magic lights is to put a block on top of them. So if we come up here again, so you get this cool sort of, anyway, you get the idea. Anyway, no over here. Yeah, it's too dark. Thanks, Ron. that it makes a big difference in the dungeons. I had to create a whole new wrought iron material because I was using the black metal to create those sconces. The steel black I was using to create the sconces, and they were just too shiny. You'd walk into where are you going to find diamonds? Well, minerals. If you're used to that other game that starts with M, mineral collection will be a lot different in Mythruna than that. So, yeah, I haven't exactly decided how it's going to work, but if you're just down here, plop, 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 plopping rocks, you're going to get rocks. But if you pull out your pickaxe and you chip away at these guys, you might find, if you find that there's a rich area of minerals here, and you chip away at them with your pickaxe, dig slowly, you might find gems. And maybe the better your tool is, the bigger the gems you find without breaking them, and so on and so forth. Stuff like that. Everything should be a little bit of a skill, right? I'm trying to avoid grinding. What game engine is this? So I'm one of the core developers on JMonkey engine, which is what provides the OpenGL bindings and the scene graph. But all the other stuff is custom, and the UI is a open source package called Lemur, which I wrote, and then of course styled it with the Mythruna style. So where's my iron? Did I just call it iron? Yeah, I did. So this is what I was talking about before. So then we've got this dark, and it actually has some rusty texture to it that we really can't see in this light, but it's a little bit brownish. That's what I use to make the sconces. So yeah, this is these things are all part of sort of Lemur, with custom styling, and then the engine itself is part of the Moss open source library. There's JMonkey engine, which runs the scene graph underneath, and then the block world, all of this stuff, the world generation, the paging of the world, all that stuff is part of some open source libraries I'm making underneath Mythruna, where Mythruna is currently the primary user. Yeah, see, check that out. These the reflection on the marble. It's cool. This is written in Java, and so the game engine itself is Java, and a lot of the game code is Groovy. That's what we were seeing before when I was editing this. This is Groovy code, standard tools.groovy. Apparently I did not save this. And then, I have programmed in lots of languages, starting way back in the day with, BASIC and Quick Basic, and moving my way up to C. I did C coding for years, a little bit of C++. I've been using Java since 1995 or so, kind of showing my age. So Java is like my main thing. I do some JavaScript now, but mostly Java and Groovy, and the game engine's Java and Groovy. And of course, shaders, GLSL shaders, which is very close to the C coding that I used to do back in the day. Any other questions as we wind down? I'm a half hour over normal stop time, but I don't mind answering some more questions if anybody has any. I think next time I'll have finished this, and we can get into changing the dungeon wand into, sort of a dungeon game where you place the object down and it makes a dungeon, and then you have to go retrieve it. I haven't really looked at it in detail. At this point in my life, I'm kind of like an old dog. If I don't have an excuse to learn something new, then I give it a read so that I can potentially speak intelligently on it if I have to, and I don't know much about Rustlang at this point. For day job, I've had to do Java and JavaScript and React and Redux and those kind of things, but anyway, so that's where I'll leave it tonight. Next time we'll work on turning that dungeon generator into a game, because I'll have a bunch of stuff this weekend to fix up. I'm trying to get the release done. I don't know if it'll be done by the end of the month, And of course I redefine like this cave fluid levels. I've gotten that partly done, and I'm gonna probably split it into 2 tasks and consider that done enough, because then I can call caves done. Web GPU, yeah, just like all the WebGL stuff. I have never done anything with it, but I'm familiar enough with what it is. But so anyway, yeah. So this summary will show like really bad, like I'm only 9.34%, but that's not true because there's a bunch of features I'm going to drop for this next release. I was trying to get it done by the end of the month, but probably end of July. So for my birthday. And so if you know anybody who wants to subscribe to my YouTube channel, if we get 900 subscribers by my birthday, that would be awesome. If we get to 900 subscribers, I'll hook up a webcam and I'll put my face down in the corner here, and you guys can see what I look like. Thanks for joining. Let me pull up the thank you pages and stuff. It's been great. Conversation's good. We made progress, and I'm like jazzed to keep working on it over this weekend. I hope you all, if you are working on your own personal projects, I hope you have a great and productive week, and you can come back next week and tell us about it if you want to, progress you've made. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining. Teamwork makes the dream work, and you guys are part of the team, so thanks a lot.